Welcome back to Variologies. I'm Dan Calcagno. In today's video, we're going to look at the question, was Jesus crucified on Good Friday? Most Christians believe that Jesus died on a Friday, but there are some Christians who will counter that and say, well, didn't Jesus say that he would be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, just as Jonah was in the stomach of the sea creature? And so from that, they extrapolate that there's no way that Jesus could have been crucified on a Friday and have been raised from the dead by Sunday morning. That doesn't equal 72 hours. So he must have been crucified on a Wednesday or Thursday. Those are the two different theories. And so I've been curious to find out what the Bible actually says about this topic. I'm certainly not somebody who is afraid to break with tradition if I feel that it's biblically justified or logically justified. But in this case, it appears to me that the Friday tradition is biblical. Let's take a look. We're going to look at each of the 4 Gospels to see what they say about the timing of Jesus' crucifixion. In the Gospel of Matthew, he actually doesn't mention the day on which he was crucified, but we do get this indicator when it says in Matthew 27:62, it says, on the next day, that is the day which is after the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered together with Pilate. In the narrative, the crucifixion was just before this, and so the next day is the day after the crucifixion, and Matthew calls it the preparation day. Well, in Jewish culture, especially at the time, the preparation day was a reference to Friday, the day before the weekly Sabbath. Now, it's possible that the word preparation could also be used to refer to the preparation day of a holiday Sabbath, which could occur any day of the week. But let's look at the narrative here. It says, after the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the tomb. That's in Matthew 28:1, which is the very next thing in the narrative. Mark also does a similar thing, saying, following the crucifixion of Jesus during that day, it said, when evening had already come, since it was the preparation day, that is the day before the Sabbath. And then immediately in the narrative, in Mark 16, first couple verses, it says, when the Sabbath was over, and very early on the first day of the week, they came to the tomb when the sun had risen. So in Mark's gospel, we have the crucifixion of Jesus occurring during the day. That evening was a Sabbath, and then the very next thing in the narrative is the women finding the empty tomb on Sunday morning. Luke says the day on which Jesus was crucified was a preparation day, and a Sabbath was about to begin. And we can be pretty certain he's talking about the weekly Sabbath because it's immediately followed up in the narrative by saying that the women returned and prepared spices and perfumes, and on the Sabbath they rested according to the commandment. And then again, just like the other Gospels, Luke immediately goes into the women finding the empty tomb on the first day of the week. It says, on the first day of the week at early dawn, they came to the tomb and they had found the stone rolled away from the tomb. And when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. And finally, even the Gospel of John paints a pretty clear picture of Jesus dying on a Friday. Firstly, it says, now it was the day of preparation for the Passover. He's bringing Passover into the conversation here. And he says it was the day of preparation, for that Sabbath was a high day. Well, it seems like he's talking about the holiday Sabbath of Passover. That is the first day of unleavened bread. And it says, because of the Jewish day of preparation, since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. And so we have the same thing that the other Gospels reported, that some wanted Jesus' body to be taken down from the cross and to do so quickly because a Sabbath was about to begin. And interestingly, immediately following this, just like the other Gospels, John has Mary Magdalene finding the empty tomb on the first day of the week, immediately following in the narrative. It says, now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came early to the tomb while it was still dark and saw the stone already removed from the tomb. So all 4 Gospels are in agreement that Jesus died on what was called a preparation day. Seems pretty clear from the narrative that the preparation day reference was the preparation day for the weekly Sabbath, which could have been, according to the Gospel of John, also the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But nevertheless, all 4 Gospels present Jesus dying on what seems to be Friday, preparation day. He is dead and in the tomb Saturday, the Sabbath. And then by the Sunday morning, by the morning of the first day of the week, the tomb was empty. So just by what the Gospels tell us, we could possibly conclude that Jesus did indeed die on a Friday. But if you're still skeptical and you'd like to dig into this a little bit further, this month's Patreon exclusive Bible study is all about when did Jesus die? What day of the week and what day of the month did Jesus die? We tackle this in about a 55-minute long video with an accompanying PDF. You can get this at patreon.com/Variologies, and you can sign up for the Truth Seeker tier or above, and you'll gain access to that study. I hope that's of interest to you. Thanks so much for your support. Please like this video, share it with others, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on X, and also visit my website, variologies.com. We'll see you next time.